Good morning. How wonderful that we are able to gather in this way in these challenging times to support this congregation. So many of you are coming to the live events and participating in a way that is helping us know that we are still connected even though we are separate. So welcome this morning. Our centering music this morning, I want to introduce with a little bit of information. You know, we've been talking about carols of resistance, music that has played even in joyful times, but still highlighted the challenges and tragedies of the time. So our centering music this morning is from Ode to Joy by Beethoven. And I'll read this. In a documentary about Beethoven, it tells the story of one piece of music that he could not have imagined how it would ring out around the world as a testament to an undying spirit of the people, an ode to joy. And so this documentary, following the ninth, tells the story of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which was created when the aging and deaf Beethoven himself could not hear it at all. As he got to, I think, about age 40, he completely lost his hearing. And he created this amazing symphony when he was no longer able to hear. His silence was transformed into echoes through the ages as the music was used in protest marches against evil dictators and as hope in the midst of natural disaster. This morning's centering music comes from that symphony and is in our hymnal titled, "Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee." And now we will have the lighting of the chalice by the Vinson family.
We light our chalice this morning with words from Soul Matters, the echo of inner wisdom. We light this chalice to remember the light within, to know that the hunger we feel inside is not an emptiness, but the echo of an inner wisdom that already knows what we need. May our time together help us welcome that voice and each other back home.
Thank you. And our opening words come from Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Lynn Unger, and it's called Pandemic. What if you thought of it as the Jews considered the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling, give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life, center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny that now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands, reach out your heart. reach out your words, reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, as long as we all shall live. Please join with me now in the words to our covenant, and they'll be on the screen for you. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we will show the lighting of the Advent wreath with Michael Newcomb.
Fourth Sunday. In the weeks of the Advent season, the weeks of waiting, we have remembered patience. We have looked to light to dispel darkness. We have pledged to be, do, and seek peace. This week we remember the foundations of all of these things, love. In this holiday season, throughout the year to come, and always in our lives, may we know we are loved, may we share the love we have, and may we be the love we wish to see.
So now our opening hymn is a video that Laura Keith King made for us for a little lift with humor.
We three kings are sitting apart. Will your realm before we depart? We've been tested as suggested. Careful are we and smart. Oh, do our masks go with our gowns? Do these face shields hide our crowns? We've had plenty, 2020, still we head towards David's town. Melchior is now quarantined, stuck in Persia, so it seems. No more travel on a camel till there's a good vaccine. Balthazar has lost his taste. Eating food is such a waste. How disquieting now he's dieting. Life now is lower based. Caspar left the caravan. He postponed his stargazing plan. No more roaming. Caspar's homing, scrubbing his red hands. Oh, still our masks clash with our gowns. Face shields hide our tall crowns. We've had plenty, 2020, still we'll head towards David's town.
Thank you, Laura, for injecting a little humor into this challenging time as an example of using music to lift our spirits and change our attitude. And story does that also. And now we have a story that Bradley Vinson will tell us. No, is that right? Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Reverend Alice. And it is hard to follow that song. That was a delight.
I know. I'm so sorry.
The story I would like to share with you all is a story of light and darkness, adapted from a story by Erica Barron. Once upon a time, there lived people who loved the light. They welcomed the sun every morning with songs of celebration. And when the sun went down each evening, they sang sad songs of missing the light of the sun. They did not love the darkness. They could only bear the darkness when they were asleep. And even then, total darkness was frightening, so they always kept a fire burning. Now in this land were born two remarkable children. They were twins. One, a girl, seemed to shine from within, and the people loved her. The other was a boy, and he seemed to bring darkness with him, and the people feared him because he reminded them of the great darkness of the night. Now, as they grew, it became clear that these children were, in fact, magical children. When the girl was a very small child, she could heal small cuts and bruises. When she grew a little older, she could heal broken bones. And by the time she was a teenager, she could make the crops grow faster and larger and fuller. The boy, on the other hand, had the power to calm and quiet anything. When he was a very small child, he could help his family go to sleep more quickly, thus saving them from the fear of the darkness. When he was a little older, he could calm animals when they were frightened. Sometimes he would go first to an animal or a person who was hurt and help them to be calm enough for his sister's healing magic to work. The people's love for the light and fear of the darkness only grew with time. So one day they decided to ask the girl to see if her magic could hold the sun in the sky and stop the night from coming. The girl was reluctant, but she finally decided to try, just to get the people to leave her alone. One day, just as the sun was at its highest point, she went out onto the top of the highest hill in the land, and she threw her arms up into the sky, and she asked the sun to stop. She wasn't immediately sure that anything had happened. The sun usually moves so slowly, but before long, it became clear that the sun had stopped in the sky. The people were overjoyed. There was a big celebration. They sang all of their songs celebrating the sun, and everyone was happy and content at first. But within a week, they began to get tired. Although they had always slept with a fire to ward off the darkness, sleeping in the full light of the sun was another thing altogether. Some of them remembered that the boy could help with sleep and asked for his aid, but his power of bringing sleep seemed to have disappeared along with the darkness. After about a month, the exhausted, frustrated people began to wish that the sun would once again move in the sky. Everyone was afraid at first to say anything about this growing longing, but slowly, softly, they began to confide in each other, and they discovered that everyone felt this way. It was the girl's magic that had stopped the sun, so the weary people asked her to use her magic to make it move again. So she went back up onto the top of the highest hill, threw her arms up into the sky, and asked the sun to move. Nothing happened. She tried again, and a third time, but the sun stayed still. There was a long moment of growing panic before the boy stepped forward. "Let me try," he said softly. So he took his sister's place on the top of the highest hill, threw his arms up to the sky, and asked the sun to move. The sun began rushing toward the western horizon at once, and within 10 minutes it had set. Within 15, it was full, dark night. The people were caught off guard. They had no fires lit. They hadn't needed them in weeks. They had nothing with them to light their way. They had never been outside at night before, and they were terrified. At first, they tried rushing home, but they soon discovered that rushing when you can't see where you're going is a bad idea. They slowed down, but still they peered at the ground, still trying to get home as soon as they could. But then One of them looked up. "Oh," she exclaimed, "look!" Everyone looked up, and then they all saw the stars for the first time. They all stopped and stood and stared in wonder at the incredible beauty. Then, realizing how very tired they were, the people made their way home and rested, appreciating the darkness for the first time in their lives. When eventually the sun rose again, the people got out of their beds and sang their songs to celebrate the coming of the light. But at the end of the day, as the sun began to sink toward the horizon, they did not feel like singing their sad songs. Instead, one of the musicians began singing a new song, a slow, quiet song of thanksgiving for the night. The people now knew that light and darkness are best in balance. Thank you.
Thank you. And the picture was beautiful. Yes, we saw the picture. Lovely story on this eve of the winter solstice, recognizing the balance. So we have been practicing and learning how to sing and sign This Little Light of Mine. How many of you have been doing that with us? Good. Linda Cobb has been doing the signing, and Laura Keith King has been doing the musical accompaniment. So we are continuing with that for this service today, and we have it on video since we can't really do that live very well. So let's now watch the video of This Little Light of Mine and join in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under the bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
everywhere, every one, I'm, let it shine. Everywhere, every one, I'm, let it shine. Everywhere, every one, I'm, let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under the bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere for everyone, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you to Linda and Laura Keith King for that. It's not easy, is it? And if you remember from last week, that song is 100 years old this year, and it has been sung in so many protests and opportunities to let your light shine and change structures of evil and all that stuff. And Fannie Lou Hamer made it pretty popular when she sang it back in the civil rights times. This is a time that we are able to chat in the chat box. There's another time when we get to chat in person on here, but for right now, if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share with this group, I invite you to go down to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat there, and you can scroll over and write your message where it says, it might say everyone, and I will try to read those. So the Ansaldos said that they have enjoyed so much learning that song, and the holiday party was a real joy on Friday. I agree. Thanks to Trista and all who helped with that. Yeah, I think Mary Lee and I don't remember who all else, but Trista and Mary Lee cooked that up. From Val, Pam, Will, and Mark, my joy is that I am working on starting a business with my friend Lil. Wonderful. That's great. And Denise tells us that she is thankful to see everyone, maybe. The last word dropped off. So I'm reading your mind. Carol Hemme to everyone, concern for two friends who have been dealing with serious health issues. Well, we'll certainly hold you and all your friends in our thoughts. It's a terrible time to be going through those things. From Laura, yesterday my grandson up in New Hampshire got home from the Marines to be with, so she's able to be with her son and family, and he's able to be here. Wonderful. Marcy has a concern for her sister. So we'll be thinking about you, Marcy, and your sister. And from the Levitts, from Pam, my joy was watching the winter solstice sunset over Stonehenge with Mark this morning. My concerns are that we are still struggling with insurance over Hurricane Sally damage. Oh, I'm so sorry. And from Ansaldo Satterwhite's, also UUCP donated 19 coats to local children through the coat drive. Check out the pics on Facebook of the happy children with the coats we donated. Will be featured in the light also. And Denise has a sorrow that we've lost a great icon yesterday, the incomparable pianist Al Martin, and asks for prayers. So sorry to hear that. From the Levitts, Val says her joy was also the funny We Three Kings song this AM. Thank you. Great. If I had been lighting candles for joys and sorrows, I would have lit a candle for Barbara Goggins, who had a very special birthday on Friday, I believe it was. So if you see Barbara or you email her and you didn't get a chance to wish her happy birthday, it's a special one to acknowledge. So
What is it?
I don't know if I'm supposed to tell people how old she is or not. She didn't give me permission. So Lori's nodding. Is it okay? Okay, so she's 90, right? This was her 90th birthday. Yeah. So I don't promote that we honor birthdays because we'd be doing 3 or 4 every Sunday. But I think after somebody hits 90, we should definitely recognize their birthday. So, and for all the joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts, we light a virtual candle. We've been using verses of a song from Mark Miller, and some of you have been sending pictures for me to put to this music. And so now I'll ask Nancy to show that video.
I believe in the light. I believe in the light that has come and is coming.
This is the time in our service when we give you the opportunity to express your spirit of generosity toward the church. These are hard times for people and for churches, I think, sometimes now. And if you have it to share, then I know that the church would be greatly appreciative. And so I will let Nancy show the slide for how to text and give, or the address of the church, should you like to write a check, while Denise plays music for offering for us. Thank you, Denise. Now we wanted to give you a chance to greet your neighbor. And so Nancy's going to divide us up into smaller groups so you can say hello to one another and have a moment of sharing. Hope you enjoyed your little chat, and I'm really happy that you all came this morning so we could do this together, and I get to see your faces. And we have a closing song, and then I have some closing words and a little more fun with Laura Keith King. And we also have the words to show on the screen. So you can sing along, you just have to stay muted to do it, all right?
Yes, sing along, but be sure you're muted if you're singing, because the lag time puts us all out of sync with each other. And I'm changing that last phrase a little tiny bit. These are some funny quarantine words. We wish you Merry Christmas. We wish you Merry Christmas. We wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a happy quarantine. We wish you a happy quarantine. We wish you a happy quarantine. So please stay in there. Stay 6 feet apart from all of your friends. We wish you a happy quarantine. So stay healthy, New Year, and Happy New Year. Healthy and happy.
Thank you, Laura. For closing, the reading from Edward Searle, a UU minister. The candle, the evergreen, the infant child, these are the symbols of the season. For we affirm that a flame banishes the dreariest darkness. For we affirm that the tree of life endures the harshest time. For we affirm that the spirit of love is renewed with the birth of every child. So it is light and life and love we see in the Christmas fire and in the Christmas tree and in the Christmas child. And it is light and life and love we celebrate. The light which shines is the light of this season, which comes to us from the past, which shines here now, which we shall give to the future. Thank you, and may we go in peace and stay home and stay safe.